My name is Josh Tanayas. I teach animation and media courses in the art department. We're looking at the sandbox for my animation class that runs in the fall. I've begun to populate the sandbox with my teaching materials and synthesizing ideas from our online course. Let's take a look. So here in the course overview, I have a short summary of the course, and below the 9 course learning outcomes. I revised them based on the backward design framework introduced in our online course and edited them based on the best practices outlined in Module 1's presentation so that they're more specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time-framed. I'm still in the process of breaking these down into modular learning outcomes. I haven't really worked with modules too much in my course design, so this is a new concept for me, and I'm really enjoying thinking about how the sequencing of my class can be broken into modules and learning outcomes can be applied to them. So that's kind of a work in progress, but I do have my modules here. I'll jump into the first one. Module, students focus on hand-drawn approaches to animation. Observation is a priority. Here's a reading covering the principles of animation that students apply in both formative and summative assessments. Regarding formative assessments, I have students create flipbooks which are easy and relatively low stakes in terms of time and material. And the flipbooks explore individual principles of animation like timing, exaggeration, squash and stretch. Upon completion of the flipbooks, students share them via YouTube or Vimeo or in synchronous breakout rooms on Zoom. We encounter flipbooks when exploring the history of animation and the technologies that lead to the first hand-drawn animated films. We also review contemporary examples of artists who make flipbooks in order to frame questions or tell stories. Regarding student-to-student peer learning activities, my students keep a sketchbook and they're responsible for creating around 5 drawings a week. But I also encourage community-based learning by hosting an observational drawing session, or I guess I call it a Zoom drawing party, with the first 15 minutes of our class. In this activity, I use the Zoom groups to explore observational drawing, and while we only spend a few minutes on these each day, I encourage my students to practice these exercises for a few minutes in their sketchbooks every day, and use the group activity to offer evidence via social feedback from their cohort. The student's ability to render can increase rather quickly and dramatically. This image, by the way, is not from my students, it's from a drawing party that I hosted with my peers. In our class, the students are paired up and follow prompts and select subjects to draw and offer feedback in smaller groups, where I notice more generosity in terms of engagement. So from these exercises, students then share their favorite drawings on a blog to share with their cohort. And they have the option to comment. So this is a synchronous group activity. It also incentivizes early arrival to class. The students they seem to enjoy the social aspect of it. Oh, right. And in this module, I explore animation theory and history by introducing it as a tool. By framing it as a technology, its historic causality and relevance to students seems to come forward and generate discussion. I've adapted my online lectures to 10-minute intervals and offer prompts for students to discuss them in areas that are relevant to their individual coursework. So yeah, this is just, I guess, a quick look at one of them. In this lecture, we're looking at pre-cinematic forms of animation, and I start with automata. One of the first committed assessments is the creation of a very short hand-drawn animated scene based on personal observation by the students. The students literally record some motion, some event, and then create an animated scene based on that expression of motion. In doing that, students synthesize principles of animation they initially encounter in lecture, and they discuss from screenings, and they initially explore in exercises and formative assessments. But they develop a sort of deeper synthesis of it through a committed project. in the creation of these scenes drawn from life.